The Grand Galactic Council chamber floated in the endless dark, shining like a star made of crystal and metal. Inside its walls, the leaders of hundreds of species had gathered, their voices echoing in the vast dome. The atmosphere was tense, cold, and heavy. They were here to decide the fate of one world, one species that had changed everything: humanity. At the center stood the Speaker of the Council, a tall creature with silver skin and bright golden eyes. He raised his long hands and said slowly, "Today we decide the final punishment for the humans of Earth." A wave of whispers filled the chamber. Every alien there had a reason to fear or hate the name human. They built weapons that could destroy stars, hissed a reptilian delegate, his scales glowing red. "They spread too fast, too far," said another, her eyes flickering like ice crystals. "They are dangerous, unpredictable, and they refuse to obey the laws of the galaxy." One by one, voices rose, accusing humanity of crimes, arrogance, and power. But no human voice answered. The seat of Earth stood empty, its symbol, a small blue sphere wrapped in a golden ring, glowing faintly. It was the first time in history that the human delegation had not shown up. The Council took this as an insult, proof that humanity no longer respected the unity of the stars. Only one member spoke differently. Ambassador Laura of the Andali leaned forward, her silver tendrils trembling. "We should think before we act," she said softly. "Humanity may be dangerous, but they saved us once. Do not forget the Devourer War. They gave their blood so others could live." Her voice was drowned in laughter, harsh and bitter. "They did it for power," one shouted. "They did it for glory." Another barked. The speaker silenced them with a sharp tone. "Enough, we will vote." A deep hum filled the chamber as the giant sphere at the center lit up. Each council member raised their hand or claw or appendage to cast their decision. Blue light meant mercy. Red meant exile. Within seconds, the entire chamber glowed red. The speaker looked around slowly, his golden eyes cold. "By unanimous decision, humanity is exiled from the galaxy." The crowd erupted in noise, cheers, shouts, satisfaction. For many it was justice, for others fear disguised as order. The speaker raised his hands again. "Let it be written, no ship of Earth shall be allowed to cross our borders again." He turned toward the human seat. "May they learn humility in the silence of their isolation." But as he spoke, something strange happened. The holographic symbol of Earth flickered, then dimmed completely. A small ripple of static spread through the communication lines. On the far side of the chamber, a technician shouted, "Sir, I'm detecting an anomaly from the Sol system." The speaker frowned. "Explain." "It's gone," the technician whispered. "There are no signals, no active colonies, no ships, nothing." The room grew silent. "Impossible," the speaker said, his voice shaking slightly. "Check again." The technician's hands moved quickly across the glowing controls. His eyes widened. "Every Terran beacon, every satellite, every relay is offline." A deep unease spread among the council members. The speaker turned to the Andali ambassador. "Did your people have contact with the humans recently?" Laura shook her head slowly. "Our trade routes went silent months ago. I thought they were preparing for war." A cold voice from the shadows said, "Perhaps they were." Everyone turned to see Admiral Kree, a war veteran from the Drath Empire, his armor scarred and black. He stepped forward. "Humans never wait to be punished, they act first, always." Suddenly, a holographic screen flashed to life in the center of the chamber. The seal of the Terran Federation appeared for a brief moment. Then a message in ancient human code began to repeat. A translator struggled to decode it, but soon the words became clear. Two simple words appeared on every display across the galaxy. "Too late." The council chamber froze. The speaker felt his heart sink. "What does it mean?" he demanded. No one answered. Alarms began to sound from deep within the council station. Sensor reports flooded in. Human colonies across multiple systems were found empty. Ships drifting with no crew, cities dark and silent. Ambassador Laura whispered. They knew. The speaker turned sharply. Knew what? That we would do this, she said softly, eyes wide with dread. They didn't wait for exile. They left before we could decide. Her words hung in the air like a curse. In the silence that followed, the great emblem of Earth shimmered one last time, then vanished from the Council's record systems. It was as if the entire species had erased itself from existence, and somewhere, beyond the stars, in the cold dark of uncharted space, a faint human transmission echoed through the void. A calm human voice spoke once before fading forever. We warned you, but you never listened. The speaker stood frozen, staring into the void where Earth's light used to shine. He realized the truth too late. They had voted to exile humanity, but humanity was already gone. The Council's order had spread across the galaxy like wildfire, but what followed was not victory, it was silence. Weeks after the vote, fleets from dozens of species moved toward the Terran systems, each one expecting resistance, ruins, or battle. They found nothing. The first ship to enter the Sol system was the Varkon Explorer, a deep-range research vessel. Its captain, Rethan, stood on the bridge as the ship emerged from faster-than-light travel. Prepare scans of Earth, he ordered, his tone confident but cold. The crew obeyed. But then, slowly, one by one, the reports came in. Captain, Earth is gone, a voice said softly. Rethan turned sharply. Gone? Explain yourself. The young technician's mandibles trembled. It's there. But it's not alive, sir. They zoomed in on the blue planet once glowing with light and life. Now it was dim, wrapped in silent clouds, no cities, no satellites, no movement. Just the whisper of wind through empty continents. Where are the humans? Rethan demanded. Every city is empty, came the reply. No people, no bodies, no signals. It's like they left. The words made the crew shiver. No civilization simply vanished like this. Something had taken them, or they had gone willingly. The Varkon Explorer moved to the moon. The Terran base there was still active, its reactors running, machines working automatically. But the corridors were deserted, food trays still full, chairs still pushed back. As if everyone had stood up and walked away mid-meal, Rethan touched one of the walls. They didn't die here, he whispered. They just disappeared. Other fleets reported the same. Mars, empty, Europa, silent, Titan, New Eden, Alpha Centauri, all abandoned, billions of humans, gone without a trace. Only machines remained, working tirelessly in their absence, maintaining order in a dead empire. On one of the distant colonies, New Geneva, a lush world once called humanity's second Earth, a small investigation team landed among the ruins. There, under the cracked marble of the old Terran hall, they found something strange. A massive sealed vault covered in the emblem of the Terran Federation. At its center, a symbol glowed faintly, the mark of a human hand. No one dared touch it. But an alien officer named Terran stepped forward, curiosity burning in his eyes. I've studied human code, he said, placing his hand over the print. The vault came alive, the floor trembled, the air shimmered, and a holographic figure appeared, a human admiral in a worn uniform, his eyes calm but heavy with warning. If you're seeing this, the man said, his voice echoing through the ruins, then you've come too late. The admiral looked straight ahead, as if staring into the soul of anyone who watched. We knew you'd turn on us. You always feared what you couldn't control. He paused, then smiled faintly. But we didn't wait for your judgment. We made our own. The hologram shifted, showing the stars, maps of entire sectors flashing past. Coordinates blinked red, far beyond known space, beyond the galactic rim, a place known only in myths as the Veil, the admiral continued. We saw what was coming from beyond the edge, something your kind refuses to see. He leaned closer, voice low. You think we were the danger, but we were the shield. The hologram flickered, and his final words hung in the air like a curse. Do not follow us. For what waits beyond the veil will not be merciful. The vault sealed itself again. Shutting the hologram off, Terran fell back, breathing hard, his skin pale. He looked at his commander. "Sir, what do we do with this information?" The commander hesitated. "Report it to the council, they will decide." But deep inside, Terran felt something, a growing fear. The humans hadn't fled, they had planned this, they had left a warning, not a goodbye. Days later, when the data reached the council chamber, the delegates laughed. "Human tricks," one said. "They want to frighten us." Another sneered. Only Ambassador Laura stayed silent, her eyes fixed on the hologram's last frame. The red blinking coordinates near the veil. She whispered softly, "They never lied to us before." That night, across the galaxy, something began to happen. Every major sensor array pointed near the veil suddenly went dark. Entire outposts lost communication in seconds. Ships sent to investigate vanished without trace. The stars near that region started to dim, as if light itself was being eaten. By morning, the council was in chaos, emergency meetings, panicked reports, fleets mobilized. The speaker looked at the data on his screen, his golden eyes wide with fear. He whispered, "What did they awaken out there?" No one answered. But in the darkness beyond the veil, 1,000 human ships drifted silently, their hulls black as night, their engines cold. Inside, no heartbeat, no movement, yet their lights pulsed faintly, like the steady rhythm of something still alive, but no longer human. A single transmission escaped that region before vanishing into static. It was a human voice again, calm and resolute. "We left because you refused to understand. We left because something greater was calling us." Then silence, the galaxy waited, trembling, wondering if humanity had truly gone, or if they were preparing to return. And in that silence, the veil began to whisper back. The galaxy no longer slept. Every empire, every fleet, every world was on edge. After the discovery of the abandoned human worlds, rumors spread like a storm. Some said humans had escaped into another dimension. Others whispered that they had become something else entirely, but no one could deny the truth that followed next. The stars themselves were starting to disappear. It began near the edge of the Orion Arm, where outposts once thrived under Terran protection. The first disappearance was small, a single sun that simply blinked out, leaving a cold void behind. Scientists called it a cosmic accident. But then another vanished and another, until whole constellations faded from existence. No explosion, no debris, just silence in the council chamber. The delegates screamed at one another. "The humans did this," shouted the Varkon ambassador, his claws digging into the table. "They took the light itself." "That's impossible," replied Ambassador Laura, trembling. "No species, not even humans, can erase stars." The speaker turned toward the council's lead scientist. "Explain this." The scientist, a small insectoid named Vel, adjusted his lenses. "It's not destruction," he said quietly. "The stars are being moved." "Moved?" The speaker stammered. "Yes," Vel continued. "They are vanishing in a pattern, not random. The missing systems form lines, and exact lines, matching old Terran trade routes." The chamber fell silent. Every eye turning to the glowing hologram, the paths formed a massive spiral, all pointing toward a single region, the veil. "What in the stars were they doing out there?" Laura whispered. The speaker slammed his hand down. "Send a fleet now. We will know what humanity left behind." The Drath Imperial Armada, led by Admiral Kree, entered the veil first. Their ships disappeared into the black mist, sensors flickering, navigation failing. The darkness was thick, not just empty space, but something alive watching. Kree stood at the viewport, his voice steady but his hands trembling. "Keep the scanners running. I want answers." Then through the void, a faint glow appeared. "Contact!" shouted the crew. They zoomed in and froze. It was a fleet. Human ships, thousands of them, forming a massive ring around a dark sphere the size of a moon. But there were no life signs. No signals, no transmissions. The ships were ancient, covered in strange black material that absorbed all light. And at the center of the ring floated a colossal structure, part station, part living organism pulsing like a heartbeat. "Is that human?" one officer whispered before anyone could answer. The communication screen flickered. A voice, human but distant, echoed through the speakers. You were warned not to follow. Every heart in the fleet froze. Admiral Kree stepped forward. Identify yourself. No reply, only static. Then the stars around them began to dim. The sensors screamed. Space itself was bending. Folding, twisting inward. Retreat, Kree shouted. All ships, retreat now! But it was too late. One by one, the ships at the edge of the formation simply vanished. No explosion. No sound, just gone. Kree's ship barely escaped, engines burning white when he looked back. The veil was darker than ever, swallowing the last light behind them. Weeks later, the survivors returned to the council, pale and silent. Admiral Kree stood before the assembly, armor scorched, eyes hollow. They built something out there, he said, voice low. Something that feeds on stars, something alive. The chamber erupted in chaos. Impossible. Madness. But Laura believed him. She had seen the same pattern in the data. The humans hadn't fled in fear. They had fled for preparation. Later that night, Laura sat alone in her quarters, watching the old Terran message again. If you're seeing this, you were too late. She paused the image, zooming into the reflection in the Admiral's eyes, and froze. Behind him, barely visible, was a dark sphere surrounded by light. The same thing the Drath fleet had seen. Her hands shook. They were building it even then, she whispered. The next morning, the galaxy woke to new terror. Entire sectors had gone dark overnight. Their suns missing, their planets left frozen. Refugees flooded neighboring systems, claiming they saw the shadows of ships without stars. On the outer rim, listening stations picked up faint human transmissions repeating endlessly in the dark. We left to survive. Do not follow. The Council declared a state of universal emergency. Fleets formed alliances. Enemies became uneasy friends, but deep inside, everyone knew this was no war they could win. Because it wasn't war at all, it was migration. Humanity had moved the stars themselves, dragging their power to fuel whatever they had become, and then one final signal reached every corner of the galaxy. It came not from the veil, but from the heart of the Milky Way itself. The message was short, spoken in an ancient human tongue that every translator instantly understood. We're not gone. We're home. Every council member froze as the galactic core began to flicker. Hundreds of artificial suns appeared where none existed before, forming a vast circle, a symbol, the ancient Terran emblem. Glowing bright in the void, the galaxy finally realized the truth. Humanity hadn't been destroyed. They had outgrown the galaxy and returned to reshape it. And somewhere beyond the shimmering core, an enormous shadow moved, and silent, patient, unstoppable. As the stars themselves bowed to humanity's will, 50 years had passed since the stars began to vanish. Most believed the humans were only a myth now, a warning told to frighten children and silence prideful rulers. The Council rebuilt itself inside a shining new station near the Trion Nebula, pretending the galaxy was safe again, but deep down, everyone knew the truth. The silence of the veil still waited for them. Ambassador Laura had grown old. Her silver tendrils dulled, her eyes still sharp. Every night she studied human records, trying to understand why they left and what they had become. Then one quiet cycle, her console flashed red, an ancient Terran code. It came not from the veil, but from the galactic core. The place no one dared to go. She replayed the transmission. The voice was human, clear, calm, yet echoing as if spoken by thousands at once. To the council that voted too late. Do not awaken what sleeps here. Then static, her hands trembled. They're alive, she whispered. And they're warning us again. Moments later, the entire council network lit up. Every channel filled with that same message, repeating endlessly. Across the galaxy, sensors flared. Energy surges from the core. Radiation waves bending light itself. The council called an emergency session. The speaker's voice shook as he spoke. Is this a threat? Admiral Kree, older now, scarred by the veil, slammed his fist down. No. It's a warning. A fleet of 20 ships, the most advanced in the galaxy, was sent toward the core. Among them was Laura, refusing to stay behind. As the fleet approached, stars around them began to shimmer and distort. It was like flying through water. Light moved wrong, shadows curved in impossible ways. Suddenly, one of the pilots shouted, "Gravity spikes ahead!" Something huge. Before them appeared a massive structure floating near the galactic center. Not natural, built, forged. shining with faint blue light. It was shaped like a ring so large it circled an entire cluster of stars. Inside the ring, those stars were slowly disappearing. Their light drawn inward into the darkness, Laura gasped. It's feeding on suns, Kree's jaw tightened. No, it's using them. The scanners confirmed it. Energy output beyond anything ever recorded. It wasn't destruction, it was creation then. Their communications filled with static. A shape appeared before the fleet. A ship, human in design but enormous. Far beyond any known scale, its hull was white like bone, lined with glowing veins of light. No engines, no weapons visible. Yet the space around it bent like a storm. The bridge went silent, every being frozen in awe and fear. A voice echoed directly into their minds, not through radio, not through translation, direct thought, pure and clear. Why do you come again? You were told not to, Laura whispered. We needed answers. We thought you were gone, the voice grew colder. Gone? We moved beyond your limits. You would have followed, but you were too afraid of what you might become. The human ship pulsed with light, and holograms flickered across every vessel. Images of ancient Earth, oceans, forests, children playing under sunlight. Then those images twisted into black skies filled with stars collapsing into new shapes. We saw what the galaxy refused to face, the voice continued. The hunger at the edge of creation. We built walls of light to hold it back. Admiral Kree stepped forward shouting, Then why return? If you left, why come back to us now? The voice paused. Because your kind keeps digging into the dark. You woke it. Before anyone could respond, the surrounding stars dimmed. Something vast moved within the shadows of the core, a swirling cloud that devoured light. Sensors screamed warnings, hulls shuddered, and the voice spoke again, harsher this time. Leave, seal the borders. Tell them the galaxy belongs to silence once more. Then all transmissions cut. The human ship vanished, dissolving into threads of light that spiraled into the core. Moments later, a shockwave of pure energy struck the fleet, throwing ships apart. Only a handful escaped the collapse, including Laura's small craft, drifting half-dead through the wreckage. When she finally returned to Council space, her report caused panic. Many refused to believe her, others demanded war. But Laura knew better. It wasn't war the humans were preparing for. It was containment. They weren't protecting themselves anymore. They were protecting everyone else days later. The galaxy sensors caught another signal from the core. A single phrase in every known language, etched into light across the stars. Stay in your heaven of fear. We guard the abyss. Every empire went silent. The council sat motionless, listening to the hum of their own breath. In that moment they understood. Humanity hadn't become gods. They had become wardens, holding back something even gods would fear. And as the stars began to shine again, faintly and carefully, Ambassador Laura looked into the night sky and whispered, They didn't abandon us. They're still watching far away beyond the core, unseen by any eye. Thousands of human constructs glowed faintly in the void. Their light pulsed like a heartbeat, waiting, guarding, and whispering through the darkness. The council voted too late, but we will keep the galaxy alive. The galaxy was trembling again. Weeks after the last signal from the core, strange phenomena began spreading across every known sector. Stars flickered between life and death. Light itself seemed to hesitate in space, and unknown energy waves rolled through the void like thunder. Every sensor, every communication channel, every eye turned toward the core once more, toward the place where humanity had vanished. In the Grand Council chamber, fear replaced pride. The speaker's voice broke as he shouted across the hall, We must know what they are doing. If humanity truly controls the core, we need to stop them before he could finish. The lights went out. The entire chamber plunged into blackness, only the faint glow of holograms flickering weakly. A low hum filled the air, deep, steady, powerful, like the beating of a cosmic heart. Suddenly, every wall in the chamber became a window to the stars. The delegates gasped. They were no longer seeing the nebula outside. They were seeing the galaxy itself. Turning slowly beneath them and above it all, enormous glowing structures appeared. Rings of light stretching around entire star clusters moving in perfect harmony. Each ring bore the symbol of the Terran Federation, ancient and unmistakable. Then a voice spoke, calm and deep, echoing in every mind. You once voted to exile us. The voice was human, but vast, layered, infinite, as if a billion souls spoke as one. You thought yourselves gods, rulers of peace, but you ruled nothing but your fear. The speaker fell to his knees, trembling. What are you? He whispered. We are what you refuse to become, the voice answered. We are humanity, united, ascended, and unbound. The stars outside began to move, rearranging themselves like beads of light. Gas clouds shifted, constellations bent into new shapes, forming a massive human hand stretched across the void, glowing faintly with energy. Every ship, every sensor, every mind that witnessed it felt the same thing. The presence of power beyond comprehension. Ambassador Laura stepped forward, her old voice shaking but steady. If you can hear us, please, we understand now, she said. You tried to save us, but we were blind. If there is still mercy in what you have become, don't destroy us. For a moment, there was silence. Then the stars dimmed again, and the voice returned, quieter now. Destroy you? No, we learned from you long ago. Mercy is not weakness. The image changed, showing the far edge of the galaxy. Where the veil used to be, there in the emptiness, a great shadow moved, endless and alive. The darkness that had once devoured stars was returning, faster, stronger, and surrounding it were thousands of Terran constructs, glowing blue, standing like soldiers before a tidal wave. This is what you called the unknown, the voice said. It comes from beyond time, beyond the stars, and it feeds on light itself. You would not face it. We will. The speaker looked up, his golden eyes wide with tears. Then, you're still protecting us. We guard what was once ours, the voice replied. You cast us out, yet we became the wall that keeps your world safe. We are the last shield between creation and the endless dark. Suddenly, a massive explosion of light erupted near the core. Entire constellations lit up like candles in the dark. The Terran structures flared with pure white brilliance, forming a ring that spanned the entire galactic center. Every world could see it, a halo of fire protecting the galaxy itself. The voice grew stronger, carrying through every world. Every mind, your exile is over. Not because we forgive you, but because you no longer matter in what comes next. The council members wept in silence. They understood humanity had outgrown the galaxy. They no longer ruled planets or empires, they ruled light. They had become something eternal. Not gods, not conquerors, but keepers. Ambassador Laura whispered softly. What will you do now? The voice replied. We will finish what we began. We will seal the darkness forever. But if it ever breaks again, call our name and the stars will answer. Then, one by one, the glowing rings began to fade. The human constructs vanished, dissolving into rays of light that drifted like dust across the cosmos. The galaxy returned to silence. But this time, it wasn't fear, it was awe. Laura stood at the balcony of the council. Watching the sky, a new star appeared near the core, brighter than any other, pulsing like a living heart. She smiled faintly, whispering to herself, they were never exiled. They simply moved beyond us. As she turned away, a whisper echoed through her mind. Human, warm, ancient. We are watching, always, and far beyond, past the reach of any telescope in the quiet between galaxies. Humanity stood eternal, their cities built from light, their fleets guarding the edge of creation, waiting for the next dawn. The lost children of Earth had become the keepers of the stars, and their final message to the galaxy would echo forever. We were not your enemy, we were your future.